Stuck on feeling. InShalla and Ashe. Blessings to you, my energetic beings. I got my Spirit Machine shirt on. I don't know if you can see that, but they're a great band. So the essence today is of like spiritual linking. So we've been kind of cosmically linking our spiritual acumen, just releasing these karmic patterns for quite a while actually, but kind of being in two awarenesses at the same time as we flow into the realm of spirit and back into the earth plane, the reality realm. Well, hello there, Tina. I'll pull a card for you tomorrow. I don't have my deck with me here, but I'll catch you. So, going through this spiritual acumen, if you will, we just may have had a revelation, or maybe something was revealed in the past 24 hours that really is no longer serving us in the last hiccup. It's generally the energetic kind. So our mind is really going to kind of be puzzling it or mapping it, and being that we're in the season of spirit, connecting our thoughts through our crown center into the realm of spirit, listening to spirit, the thoughts. Spirit has our higher self, a guardian of our galaxy, our Sira, etc. But welcome to today's daily snippet. Once again, I am your host. I'm a practicing holistic Sha'medium and subtle energetic surgeon. I was actually coined those terms, but my thing is to merge these indigenous technologies, the spirit of Dagara and Burkina Faso, with the subtle energies, elements, elemental beings. It's the elemental realm into the imaginal realms with offerings, rituals, prescriptions, medicine prescriptions in a way, not of the pharma kind, into your personal container. But really my intention is to merge these indigenous technologies with the subtle realms, the etheric highway, to assist you into navigating your prime directive, your inner genius, living your medicine, if you will. We are all our own medicine. And just reintroducing you to and through the being, the magical one that resides within you. My name is Tonya D, and welcome to my virtual medicine room. So if you haven't already, please be kind and do subscribe to my YouTube channel, Tonya D. In doing so, hitting the bell so you're notified. What happens is, if you don't mind liking the video, is it echoes out this YouTube algorithm and suggests me to other like-minded users into the galactic universe. But being that our inner thoughts, the voices inside of our head, the inside voice versus that outside voice, so we can utilize our mind for telepathy, automatic writing, gut instincts. It's like our channel of the voice of spirit. So these messages of cosmic ascension, that's kind of what I'm going with today. The language of light, cosmic telepathy kind of channeling. But first up, which I find curious, was connection. Comes from the Pleiades, and they really are our closest ancestors, and their energy represents this expansion of our potentials as we kind of move into alignment with universal connection. So it's like their journey into alignment with universal currents or threads. I see them as streams of light expanding. Like every galactic race, they go from separation into this polarity integration. I would call those ingredients. But they really had the most rapid and the easiest of the journeys. So what began as a pure potential expanded through interaction. So their energy really assists us on our journey to really be smooth as possible. It's similar to how, if you're a balanced parent, which how many of us really are, right? We're still cleaning up that cosmic thread, but being balanced as a parent and balancing their children end up balanced. So their energy creates this empowered individual that is able to ultimately be free to fly. So we're all born with these infinite potentials. This potential cannot be stopped because time and space keeps flowing, but the physical journey towards the core of this universal connection, the connection to source, right? They are reminding us that we are divine at our core, and we are fully capable of expanding into divine potentials within our human form. So like we're these sovereign, unique beings, and the physical realm is this conditional realm of separation, but we really are meant to honor our own sacred uniqueness, which I love watching other people's unique expression shine out. because our perspective and our experiences and our choices and desires are important to all of life. But there's also a more important story than just the separation, which is merely the physical experience in this realm. So we're also connected to life in all these invisible ways, in the microcosm and the macrocosm and all the juice. And we're connected to all of life through love, ultimately, that binds us in this timeline or another, and also compels us to improve and evolve, which is kind of what's happening through the, what I call the experience in general, the COVID experience. Ooh, I said that out loud. However, let's get out of the mental muddle. The Palladians, they accelerated this ascension by understanding the connection and making choices that really serve all of evolution and all of life, which is beneficial to everyone, two sides of the same coin. So we're being beckoned to look at how we are connecting or rejecting. That's the insight for this message of the day. So it's like, are you serving the evolution of love in a new beneficial, I think of Jupiter, benefactor kind of way, building a better future? So it's like in our physical form, we're kind of meant to grow into an empowered sovereign being that really connects us through loving choices for self and mutual benefits. Pet. Question, can one talk to a pet without talking? Absolutely. Telepathy to a pet? Oh my gosh, yes. I could do a whole show about that. 100% telepathy. Yeah, you could probably do that today. Be centered. Tune into both. I would go through your throat and your sacral energy centers, actually. And how yeah, I have telepathic conversations all the time with animals and trees. It's totally a thing. You're not crazy. But back to the card, the connection. It's about connecting, right? Connecting through love, choices for ourselves, things that are beneficial on both sides of the coin. So not every moment or experience is going to seem equal. They're going to be in service for the whole good, the greater good, for all of us to benefit at all. When you hear clicks and the humming sound goes from high and low, back and forth. Absolutely, that's tonality, that's sound. That's the language of light, actually. Sometimes I put, not to go off on a tangent, but why not? Sometimes I literally will put light codes into energy streams for healing. I get the download of the code. Sometimes I write it out. Sometimes I'm clued to have somebody else write it out and put it in those streams. But those humming sounds, that's actually what I would call the singers, the watchers in the other realm. We cannot handle sound to the frequency that they're at. It's too much energetically on our bodies. Just like going from season to season is too hard energetically. That's why we have Earth as a transition season between each season to get us in the flow. Let's see. I can think like no way. Sit down and keep eye contact then. We're all different. So what works for me might not work for you. Energetically different, because we are all our unique essence in form, physical form, in our own vessel. Sometimes I like to just stare for like 5 minutes a day at one thing so I can see between dimensions. So yeah, eye contact. Yeah, you're doing telepathy. You're doing it naturally, it sounds like. However, but the language of light, back to this card, the language of light in this card is really expanding us to feel safe, connecting or disconnecting in ways that are authentically healthy for us, just allowing us to find our safety and choose connections that honor our own personal sacred divinity, our sacred space. And just know that we are safe to discover our unique infinite capabilities, Tina, to connect. This might just be your card. And just honor yourself better within those connections, even if you have to let go of unhealthy connections. Just expecting new opportunities for the connection, make healthy choices outside of our comfort zone. So it's like, what connections are we avoiding and which ones are we forcing? So we also have another message from the Pleiades. This whole message today is all galactic universe, but it's clarity, which is interesting for me. This is utilizing all of our senses, our physical, our intuitive, all of our clairsentience, to filter information that's beneficial for us and to us. And the Pleiades, they know clarity as a state of peace, which I also find curious because when I do a divination, the water frequency is peace. It's clarity, it's reconciliation, it's getting in the flow. So these are all the messages of today. And I haven't even got to the last card, which you'll get there. But this information, you know, we have to be open to receive the new information. So just being relaxed and in an open state, that's really necessary. Otherwise, the fear, the worry, the doubt, that's going to cloud our visionary abilities. So when we're in a state of clarity and peace, we might not have all of the answers, but we are clear enough to kind of recognize the beneficial information rather than letting fear be the leader. So our clarity is a result of peaceful and trusting feelings. And when we are relaxed and trusting, our patience allows new solutions to actually form. Let's see. What do I think about seeing in gold? Oh, that's your soul's harmonic, honey. That looks like light language to me. It might come from I would sit with that and meditate on what you're seeing and automatically write it. I would even get a gold pin to bring in more of that energy, actually. But back to my card here. Thanks for all these questions. They're awesome. Patience. Being patient. That allows positive solutions to form. That in the unseen at the moment, clarity really influences our ability to trust our impulses. Being clear about something, the clairs, and really rather than forcing an outcome out of desperation. So the message is kind of reminding us to relax and be patient. I always like to take a breath, hold for a count of 3, and take a pause, and then exhale for a count of 3 to center myself. You might want to try that, having this telepathic conversation with the beings that are non-human or human, it sounds like. But just being clear with our desires so that we're not influencing our future with fear. And be authentic with yourself and also with others so that our vibrational emanation is really supported with the focus and the direction of truth. So the light language is actually releasing the fear and the misinformation that's blocking us from our innate wisdom, our ancient wisdom, supporting our understanding of the vast benevolence, which again brings me back to Jupiter, the benevolent, that really created us to naturally improve in life, in our clarity. And just know that our clarity increases with our peaceful awarenesses. So just kind of pay attention to the signals around you, especially if they are on repeat, because patience allows new creation to form in miraculous ways, and just trusting our intuitive senses without imbalanced dependence. Generally, challenge is helping us release vague or unspoken misbeliefs in our beingness. About the words that come so fast, how do you slow them down? Okay, so I love this, is great. So you have to literally take a breath and take a pause and tell your guardian, your gatekeeper, whatever you want to call your spirit guide, they have to slow them down, like, whew, one at a time. You have to consciously tell them, third eye if you want, or your inside voice or outside voice. They hear us either way, to slow down the memos. Like, you can't write that fast. And they will show you the most important ones anyway, actually. So yes, that's what I would do. Slow them down. Let's see, where am I? Our last card, which I told you this was all great. We have connection, clarity, and now we have universal flow. However, this is from the Lyrians, so they're all about awareness, the inner innate awareness, the outer beings in the world, and evolving it. So they began this path kind of in the physicality and culminating our human experience. You're right, you won't be able to read them until you cue into them, and then they will start telling you what the message is. You're going to have to sit in silence, and it's in the listening after you do the asking, and you have to be patient and flow. It takes time and it takes space. So you'll get the hang of it. Just start writing them down they'll start appearing and you'll start having synchronicities. That's the soul's harmonic. That's where the language comes in from. Lots of language. It's like you're going to have to ask. You have to ask. And you have to be patient. And you have to listen. And it will come through. That's the message of the day, actually. Becoming clear and universal flow. So this one's all about healing the duality of the separation that's embedded into everything that it's representing. So that's what's happening for you. It's transcending duality. That's the key to evolution and to you reading those messages, is to be self-care. So self-care, how do you treat yourself? Are you loving to yourself on the daily? Are you doing things out of self-love first, or are you doing it out of love for the other first? Very different frequencies. Most people don't take care of self first. They take care of others first. And then the rug gets ripped out in front of them because you're doing the things to keep the outer love in your garden, but it's not authentically true to your inner garden, your heart's love. So the reason I'm looking over here is that's where my notes are. Or my messages, I guess is what I'm saying. But self-love. So how are you caring for your body? Are you eating healthy? That's self-care. Are you exercising? That's self-care. Whatever it is, are you journaling? That's self-care. Any act of inner self-love, kindness, that is self-care. You know, doing what I would say blows your skirt up first. So if it blows your skirt up, then do it. If it doesn't, then yeah, don't, actually. I mean, you could try it. Fear is always great. I love to challenge my fears. However, back to my universal flow here. The Pleiadians, they learned to transcend evolution through deep separation in a variety of galactic cultures. So the lessons that the Lyran energy is offering us is a deep-seated awareness that connects the physical to our pure, authentic potential. So when we become aware of our consciousness, we begin to change more rapidly and even consciously. So it might seem like we can resist or stay the same. However, the change is actually initiated. So that's kind of the next step in the process. And we're ending with universal flow, which I find curious because universal flow is life. That's the unseen and often the misunderstood. So we can focus upon the physical, the world experiences with our senses, our day-to-day senses. So there's also these, I would call them quarks. They're subatomic little structures of the atom that really mimics the universal flow of life, and we all have these. Life, like the electron, they're drawn towards the positive, and the neutrality stabilizes the interaction. So we have these negative electrons that support change. And negative is not inherently bad. A lot of people see the negative as bad, but it really is this opposing force to us that remains neutral. So if we focus on the positive and honor the negative, we then enhance the flow of life. So the Lyrans actually learn to embrace the negative experience as a catalyst for the overall positive to change. And we're in this cycle right now. This is evolution. So the message is asking us to see beyond what is already formed, create the new with our focus. So change can be a stable movement from one form to the next. So as we appreciate our interactions with life, the gratitude chamber, we will hold our intention for improvement, believe the beneficial, the optimistic change is possible. So it's like the atom, the atomic structure that's currently unseen is being pulled into through our intention to our action. So this universal flow is actually divine. It's this benevolent force that supports our progress towards improvement while utilizing the focus. And the language there is weaving a deeper understanding of these invisible forces that really compel and create life. So it's releasing our fears of our creative ability to be creative so that we flow more easily with love, which is totally the message, right? Stay connected to the chamber with love, source, love. So just knowing that we flow easily with the natural improvement of our life, shifting our perspective of the negative to a beneficial change progresses over time and space. So really remaining neutral to support a stable environment for the change and trusting the unseen flow of good to be supporting our heart's authentic desires. It's then easier to relax and enjoy life more. So I would say go to the rivers, the streams, and this physical or streams of light. Do an offering to the positive. See the positive inside of the negative and just moving us forward on our earthly journey. I'm getting ready for this weekend's immersion, the elemental earth, the earth star, the non-human unseen beings of the earth, and so much more. Which brings me to my elemental highway of today, which, let's see, where are we? Okay, let's see your next question. I have a word or every whole sentence of showing up when I type that I didn't type. I would sit with it. You're going to get the message. I would take it to bed with you, dream space, and allow it to come through that way. Just ask before you go to bed that you want them to decipher the message for you. It'll be easier, I promise. It doesn't have to be hard. We make things hard. And trust. You have to trust. And I always ask, Tina, is this for me or is it something else? And my guardians, my gatekeepers, they don't let anything in that if it's not divinely curated from source, a positive light. And not that darkness is bad, because we can heal a lot of things when we go into the shadows. They're there for a purpose, a lesson generally. But back to the elemental highway, we've got a yin fire goat, the greatest fire of all time there. So our day is kind of colorful. It's solid and the fire energy is strong. It's being fed. There's a sufficient source of that energy. And I would say yang metal is all. It's actually the most important element for the energy of today. It's going to keep the strong tigers strong and under control. It's also going to conduct more fire. So we have elemental flow here, except for the metal. So metal can really produce water and keep the chart in balance. Yang water obviously isn't needed. We have it on the month and the year. So it's only if the chart becomes overly hot from all the wood, the tiger, and the fire element there really isn't any additional need for the wood. Yin water, yin, inside water, yin water, that would make the yang wood stronger because it's not a force to be reckoned with, but it's also not needed. So I would do probably yin metal. It's kind of unable to replace the yang for cutting, actually. It doesn't have the abrasiveness. So our chart being pretty warm, the water and the metal elements are most likely reduced in their powers, especially, metal I would do to stimulate and bring balance to our day. Metal not being able to control or even utilize our tiger, the element of wood. So it might be damaged while the energy of wood remains controlled. Again, it needs to be stimulated along with the wet earth because being useful, it needs to be useful because it's going to produce more of the metal element. So earth is a interesting element, so we can have wet earth or dry earth. So earth is always this transitional phase. And it's part of the fire direction, actually. So fire is heated, if you will. So knowing that it's dry earth, it's containing a lot of fire, which is also going to support dry wood. This kind of makes the chart hot and dry at the same time. But being that we already have all that yang water, it's providing moisture to the wood and making the dry earth a little more nourishing. Metal, again, it's going to help regulate the temperature of our day. Metal would be the grounding element. So I would say, how do you manage yourself, your inner self? Are you leading yourself with your heart? And again, we have the greatest of all time, a goat on the day. So just remember, goats are a person of refinement. They seek to be respected, revered. They have tremendous talents. Responsibility is actually a key word for them, but their personalities need to expect or accept responsibility when it's only theirs to own. And also they need to know when something is not their responsibility and actually be able to state that, be able to delegate. They need to know that they are victorious. That should actually be an affirmation for the day, is I am victorious. And with passion being that fire, even though it's a yin fire, it's these inner passions to become victorious today. So being that we have fire on the day stem, a ding way of a day in the heavenly realms, the energy of the day, you know, the best way to calm down our inner spirit and our thought processor is by doing some cardiovascular exercise. Even if it's just 30 minutes of walking on a treadmill or just outside, you're really going to find your thoughts coming into alignment, especially when they appear in our minds. They may be coming in from our subconscious, our inner spirit, even our psychic intuition. And being that we're in the season of Pisces, this is where we are, or we can discover our thoughts by observing how they arrive into our fortress of our mind. So if you have a beacon of a thought that comes in unrequested or outside of your linear sidelines of thinking, it just pops in, it's linear, chances are it's coming in from your intuition, your subconscious. So, you know, you might have all these thoughts that are coming into your space and your place today, but the most important ones are the thoughts that we have of ourselves. So if you ever notice that your self-dialogue is more obvious than usual, it really is that inner voice inside of our head. We also might notice karmic patterns, if you will, karmic spiritual patterns of how we think about ourselves. Those could be bubbling through the surface, where we're being overcritical, judging ourselves, feeling unworthy, stuff like that. So the magic here is to flip the switch and to catch ourselves falling into those patterns, the mental muddle, the negative self-talk, rather than getting caught in the thinking of it, the roundabout. It's not important that we're falling into the old pattern of thinking, but rather it's the way that we're climbing out of it. So if you catch yourself in a negative self-talk, replace it with a new positive thought of thinking, and that karmic barrier is going to bust free. It's like doing a ritual with ourselves and breaking free of it, literally the breaking of something free. So this is awesome, Tina. So you're going to be hearing music. Sandalphon is the angelic archangel. Sandalphon is the angelic being for the season of Pisces. So he is online. Anytime we hear music, that's Sandalphon with a message. So like I've been singing, I Can See Clearer Now. That's not something I listen to, but every morning I wake up with a different song and I know it's Sandalphon sending me messages. That's how he communicates from the other world. So he is probably communicating to you. So I would listen to the message of the song and see how it makes you feel inside and out. So ritual for me, I do rituals more often probably than the average Joe, connecting with nature, the 10th energetic center, the earth stars, kind of what people call it. There's names for all these things, labeling, which is fine, but that's just what it is. But today is a day for healing our mental attitudes, our thought, our spiritual thought chamber, if you will, that we have about ourselves, our spiritual acumen. So it's when we catch ourselves assuming the worst or catching a negative attitude. That's kind of a language specific to a tonality or a note that we hold over ourselves, a literal note or a sound note. So any negative thoughts that come in about ourselves, really replace that with a positive dialogue. So our mind really is amazing. It has all the juice in those conscious streams. It could even be undermining our successes even. So we are identifying a new intellectual approach to take when we're making decisions for ourselves. So the key to access this is truly through our heart space, our channel, believing in these new ideas and feeling they are true. So when we are open and we open our mind to a different approach or a channel, like I always say, I subscribe to a different channel, a different frequency than the earth plane, to relating to myself mentally, it's going to clear up the mud. The mud clears up. And again, clarity is one of the messages for today. So come up with a new way for making those futuristic, heartfelt commitments to yourself. It really is a day to identify and release karmic thinking patterns about ourselves and understanding ourselves in an elevated way. Sometimes we get to see the grand perspective, the galactic picture of our karma that we have within ourselves. So we may begin to see lifelong patterns of how we think about ourselves, then what comes to be as a result of that. So today just might be a breakthrough that we've all been waiting for to really fully understand where we're getting stuck within ourselves in the mud, So just remember to hold a compassionate tone in your thinking, be kind, be benevolent, remain open, be observant. I always tell people to stay connected to source so we can really uncover a break for our breakthrough. So I literally had kisses, I don't know if you can see them, painted on my nails to remind myself to love my inner self. So we get so critical, a multitude of levels, as if something outside of ourselves matters more than what's inside of ourselves. So no one's going to pull the rug out from under us quicker than we do. We do this to ourselves. So you might have to upcycle your tribe, and sometimes it can feel like a vicious cycle, turning and returning. If it's not elevating how we feel, really flick the switch or shelve it literally for another day and be your own best leader to yourself inside and out, leading with gratitude, heartfelt gratitude, you know. So with the messages, the elements, the cosmic structure, we have the crown online, fire of the day, which is also spirit, inner spirit, levels of spirit, right? We could use the heat of fire, the ha to tone. We could actually always use our day element to tone, but today, because we need metal, I would do the s, as in Sammy the snake, for the metal element, and the ong of the crown. So I would actually go up and out and look at the sky and see what messages kind of float in, be in a state of childlike wonder. But I would affirm that I am observing my thoughts in my chalice, utilizing those negative patterns, those thought patterns, to be victorious for a change, flipping the switch. And you know, have you ever thought that the reason a negative thought comes in is because you are so magical? There's something so magical on the other side, maybe, that's holding you back. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for asking questions, Tina. I'll pull a card for you tomorrow. And also just remember, for a limited time, super excited about this, Soliciting Solitude is, I'm offering it as a savings. The code is SS2022. Yeah, next season I will have another offering as well in the season of Aries, but for now, we could all solicit some solitude, right? Cleansing of our mind so we are more mindful. I'll see you in the threads of tomorrow, and Ashe, blessings to you.